Is it just me, or are architecture students always broke? I mean, the other day, I saw this student struggling with tons of stationery. She was carrying 3 different rolls of sheets, some foam board, and some more brown-colored boards. A lot goes into that architecture course, doesn't it? Models, stationery, printouts, presentation boards, high-end computers supplemented by expensive software packages, books. Gosh, why is it so expensive to study architecture? There should be a better way, don't you think? In this video, we will ponder upon why architecture education seems to be so expensive and what we can do about it. So hop on and let's go. The course itself is quite elaborate. After accounting for the practical training period, the journey to becoming a licensed architect spans 5 to 8 years. Within these 5 years, a student typically needs loads of stationery to make physical models and presentation boards, high-end laptops to run heavy rendering software, and of course, books. None of this comes cheap. But what actually hurts the most is what you get after these 5 years. A bag of peanuts after hours and hours of work at the office. Settling for a low-paying job after engaging in a long-duration course, such as architecture, is what makes it feel expensive. There are reports of students in the so-called developed nations like the USA and the UK protesting against their ongoing student loans, even years after their studies are over. The reason? They are not earning well enough to be able to repay these loans in time. Scholars, academicians, and researchers have been looking into this problem for quite some time now. But it was the COVID-19 pandemic that showed the world the results of their efforts. Distant learning is not a radically new idea. Open schooling and distance learning courses have been around for some time now, where students are provided with relevant reference material and have to only show up for examinations in order to fulfill the requirements of the course. The COVID pandemic showed us a way to merge distance learning with traditional education systems, online learning. Through platforms such as Zoom and Google Meet, many new facets of education were brought forth in front of students as well as teachers. Students subscribed to online learning workshops and courses like never before. Yeah, I know what you will say, but nobody really learned anything online. Well, that is not completely true, and I will tell you why. When it started off, most professors were trying to use these online platforms merely as a substitute for offline classes. They followed the same procedure of teaching as is typical in the studio form. The classes that covered the theoretical bits of architecture did well immediately, while the studio subjects, such as graphics and design, faced major drawbacks. It is clear that online education is much more accessible and affordable than in-person studios. But is it as effective? The key is to understand that online education is not a substitute for offline learning. You cannot match the advantages of in-person interaction in design studios on Zoom meeting, but you cannot also document the learning process as efficiently as in the online. The key is to define the characteristics of different forms of learning and use them to our advantage. Take 1:X's online courses, for example. We have integrated gamification into our online courses, where the learners are set up in a virtual simulation of a live environment, where they are assigned tasks and their overall progress and learning are tracked. This provides them with a sense of progress and learning, which keeps them motivated to learn more. Offline courses are good for an overview and rigorous training in the basics of a field such as architecture. But in an industry that is changing its methodologies at such a fast pace, traditional degree courses are not able to. The result is outdated curriculums and hence a huge gap in the skills of the graduates versus those required in the industry. Online courses, on the other hand, are much more flexible and use a similar interface as is being used in the industry. If you graduate with the right skills in your portfolio, the AEC industry doesn't seem to be as cruel as they make it sound. Architecture education, like all others, needs to be democratized, and online learning makes it possible. It's more accessible and less expensive, as it saves a lot of investment on many fronts. Could online education possibly replace physical education entirely in the future as AI becomes more powerful? Only time will tell. But what we do know is that the world is learning new ways of learning, and it seems to be for the good. Thanks for watching. and we'll see you in the next video.